Pakistan Army Chief General Qamar Javed Bajwa and ISI head Lieutenant General Faiz Hamid have held a secret meeting with the key opposition leaders just days before a multi-party conference and asked them to refrain from dragging the military's name into their political differences with Prime Minister Imran Khan. Pakistani media reported then that Bajwa and Hamid held a meeting on the 16th of September in which about 15 politicians, including leader of the opposition in the National Assembly, Shehbaz Sharif, and Pakistan People's Party chairman Bilawal Bhutto Zardari were present. However, the opposition used this opportunity to flag its concerns about other issues, especially the military's alleged interference in politics and allegations of persecution of its leaders on the pretext of accountability. Pakistan Army Chief General Bajwa clearly told the participants of that meeting that the army was not in any manner linked to the political processes and had no involvement in matters concerning election reforms and accountability. Political observers linked the timing of the meeting and its disclosure with the opposition's multi-party conference held in Pakistan on Sunday, in which former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif bitterly criticized the army, saying there was a state above the state in the country. Meanwhile, Pakistan's National Assembly panel, in fact, has deferred consideration of three important bills, we're being told, with the opposition members surprising many by declaring that it's ready to pass the government's National Accountability Bill as it is. And to decode this story with us, we have a special panel. Major General Dhruv Katoch, Director, India Foundation, is joining us live. Pramit Pal Chaudhary, Foreign Affairs Editor of Hindustan Times, is with us as well. Sumit Peer, political analyst, joins us live. And Professor Madhav Nalapat, Editorial Director of the Sunday Guardian, is joining us on the broadcast as well at this point. Let me begin with you first, Sumit Peer, on how you read this situation that is developing in Pakistan.
I think, Uday, when we look at Pakistan, we know it's a vassal state of China. It is rather a colony of China by this time. And military calls the shots. All the dispensations are puppet dispensations. Maybe Imran Khan to any, you can name anybody for that matter. It's the only country which hangs its elected leaders, or your successor kills you in the broad daylight, or somebody plants a bomb in your plane, or somebody will hang you, a successor will come and hang you. And this is what the president of Pakistan has been. So the political process within Pakistan is shattered. It's always the army who's calling shots. Now there's a very evident change. To me, this meeting, Uday, is not a meeting with the opposition. This meeting is to call everybody from the opposition and tell them, set in line. It is to threaten the opposition, aap auqat mein rahiye. You know, China has paid the Pakistani army. These generals are filthy rich. They are millionaires and billionaires. They have assets across the world, and they do a business of $30 billion. Fauji Tanzim do not pay a nickel in tax. They are the richest people in Pakistan. Now, when the opposition parties try to bring in what Nawaz Sharif did, that, pointing the blame to these generals and trying to blame the current situation and the turmoil on them, they said, look, you guys are puppets, and this is what you should do. You should dance to our tune. So I see this as a threat by Pakistan military to the Pakistan's political dispensation on the behest of China. Because China's interest in Gilgit-Baltistan, OBR and CPEC have to be protected, because if there is no CPEC, the OBR doesn't literally work. It doesn't literally function. So what is China using? China has changed its tactics, Uday. They are using the Pakistan military now to threaten the Pakistan politicians. So this we should not see as a meeting when the opposition is called for some conciliation. या बातचीत करने के लिए नहीं बोला, उनको बोला है, you please fall in line. That is my reading of the situation, which is a very, very dire situation. Now that means no political party, no political leader in Pakistan can even raise a voice against the Pakistan army, because this is the level of China's control on the Pakistan army. So question is this Jihadi Wahhabi Sunni army, Punjabi army, is this a complete militia of China? What is the difference between Arakan's army, which is a militia of PLA, or what is it on Pakistan army? They seem to be the same today. Now, if you are using your own troops to threaten your political dispensation, it's a very dire state of affairs in Pakistan.
Okay. And, also, of course, what we're clearly seeing is with the opposition and Pakistan army as well as ISI come on one table, Professor Nalapat, there are questions being asked over whether the army is trying to influence the opposition as well. Already we do know Imran Khan chose the army line. Is the army now warning the opposition and getting them all in order as well?
Well, look, when Mariam Nawaz and Bilawal Bhutto meet the generals, they know very well that Bilawal Bhutto knows very well. I mean, what happened, to his grandfather. He is well aware of that. and also what happened to his mother. I mean, she was basically assassinated. She was killed by terrorists who were funded by the Pakistan military because she was inconvenient. And I mean, Mariam Nawaz knows very well how her father has been harassed and hassled by these military people. So essentially, you have the condemned sitting down with their future executioners. And that is the point. The difficulty that the army is facing is for the first time, people in Pakistan are beginning to wake up to the reality that the military has put up this India bogey essentially as a cover to make money and basically profit and be, if I may say so, complete parasites at the expense of the people of Pakistan, especially young Pakistanis. You have a lot of young Pakistanis now. They have no real jobs. Their education system is in a shambles. What they are being taught doesn't equip them to do anything, frankly, except go on the streets and start shouting. So, in that situation, the military is a little worried because it is for the first time losing support among the people. Now, the question is, can a Mariam Nawaz or a Bilawal Bhutto or anybody else win these youths? So far, there doesn't seem to be much sign of it for the simple reason that these people are also steeped in the culture of the past. And a very important segment of that culture is absolute terror of the Pakistan army.
Okay. Let me also bring in at this point Major Katoch. Major Katoch, this meeting also comes at a time when we've seen another prominent member and leader of the opposition, Nawaz Sharif, former PM, criticized the army bitterly, saying that there's a state above the state in the country, and that's something that he wants to correct.
That is true. And I think Nawaz Sharif's statement also has very great significance in the present times. But I would view it slightly differently. I don't see the Pakistan army getting out, as both my colleagues have so rightly said. I don't see them getting out. But they are in deep problems, right? Now, their problems are really because if you look at the state of Pakistan today, their population has increased 7 times since 1947 till now. It's a huge population explosion which is taking place there, and there are no signs of stopping, and their economy is on a downswing. So you see, these two factors of a rising population and a downward going economy has its own pressures on society. Now, Imran Khan has not really been able to fit the bill in allaying the fears or the concerns of the people of Pakistan. So is the Pakistan army now thinking, and this is another alternate view I would like to give, are they thinking of a change in leadership? Are they thinking of a change to either get the PPP in, the Bhuttos in through some back door, or the Shehbaz Sharif or somebody in? I don't think Nawaz Sharif is going to come in. And in my view, Nawaz Sharif's statement has been given at this time more out of pique against his brother, who is getting, or who is seen to be getting close to the Pakistani establishment, the former Chief Minister of Punjab. So there are various other factors that play, I think, within Pakistan today. And I get a feeling that if things become worse, they're already very bad. And sometimes you think that they can't get worse, but there is no limit to how bad it can get. And that is also one of the truisms of life. So one of the ways they can actually pep up the morale of the country is by changing the leadership. So I would really feel today that under the current happenings, Imran Khan's prime ministership, I think, is under threat. And if the military can prop up another suitable candidate who will be acceptable as a face, I think they will be inclined to do it. Otherwise, they will carry on with the present incumbent. And as rightly pointed out both by Mr. Madhav Nalpat and Sumit Peer, they will tell the opposition to behave and not to sort of take the things beyond control. Ultimately, even if things go beyond control, please remember what happened in 2014 when Nawaz Sharif was in the chair and he tried to actually threaten the military. And that was the time when Pervez Musharraf was actually put up on charges of treason. So miraculously, this chap Tahirul Qadri was brought in, and we saw the protest erupting, supported by Imran Khan. Now, Imran Khan was a figurehead, and so was Tahir-ul Qadri. The brains behind the whole thing was the Pakistan military. And in my view, I think they were very successful in doing what they did because that saw the downfall of Nawaz Sharif. That was the start of the downfall of Nawaz Sharif, and he started losing his, to put it bluntly, started losing his constituency because the military went after him. Yeah, there is still much more to go. What is going to happen in Pakistan? These are very interesting times, and I think we need to watch which way they are going. In my view, they can go any way, from a leadership change to the continuation of the present incumbent with certain other changes. But one thing is certain, the military will not let go. They will control Pakistan's foreign policy as far as it relates to India, the United States, and certain Arab countries, that is Afghanistan and certain Arab countries. And they will ensure that the requisite budget which is required for the Pakistan military is available. And finally, they will ensure that they have complete control over the China-Pakistan economic corridor because that is where the money is coming in from. Uday.
Okay, let me quickly also at this point ask you then, General Khatoj, that do you believe then that's the reason why this meeting took place, to size up the opposition, to decide who they possibly may back once they completely lose faith with Imran Khan, which as you believe they are?
You see, this is one of the possibilities. Now, what really happened in that meeting and what is going on behind the army chief's mind, we really don't know. But I think this could be one of the possible causes, one of the probable causes. And this is a factor which will be playing in his mind. At some point of time, the army chief will be thinking, how do I get rid of this man? Imran Khan Niazi has failed to perform. He has been at some point of time, they thought that being a former cricket captain who won the World Cup, and that was, of course, in the 80s, I think, he will be able to inspire the youth. He's not been able to inspire anybody. I don't think he can inspire his own immediate family. So the question of inspiring the youth or the country, I think that is way off. They are looking for a change, but they don't want to put a change which will be even worse than Imran Khan. So I think if a chap like Shehbaz Sharif, if he plays his cards correctly and he gets onto the bandwagon with the military and agrees to play ball, which I won't be surprised he does, then we are likely to see him as the next prime minister, which could also explain the angst of Nawaz Sharif, who has given out these statements from wherever he is giving them out. So I think there are some concerns there. Uday.
Okay. It's quite interesting also, Professor Nalapat, and I want to quickly, bring in this point as well, that after this meeting took place, after this supposed nudge by the army and the ISI, the opposition suddenly has decided to pass the government's National Accountability Bill as it is, which was earlier being stored. So that's quite interesting. I mean, earlier they were opposed to it. Suddenly they've surprised everyone by getting ready to pass the government's National Accountability Bill as it is without any sort of discussion, debate, or changes.
Well, I'd like to say that there's an awful lot of corruption in Pakistan, and there's been an awful lot of cover-up of corruption in Pakistan. And both the Bhuttos, the Zardaris, as well as the Sharifs, have made a lot of money out of politics. So the reality is that the people in Pakistan are aware of that. And if you oppose the National Accountability Bill, it's only going to make you less popular with the people. So I think that they have done what they believe it is important to do. And at the same time, they'll be making private deals with those in authority in the military that, look, okay, I'm getting this bill passed, but don't look into these accounts of mine. Right. There may be a few accounts here and there that you can look into, and you take hold of it. Maybe, arrest a few people who are close to me. Don't touch me. So these deals will be going on. So I'm not really surprised that they went ahead with this. As has been correctly said, the military controls almost all the levers of authority in Pakistan, including the judiciary. The judiciary is essentially a plaything of the military. But the problem is facing the military is the youth of Pakistan. And they have been so far trying to force feed the youth with religious propaganda and religious extremism and this cry of religion in danger and this terrible threat from India. Well, the fact of the matter is these are basically not correct. And eventually, more and more youths are going to be disillusioned with this. And then what happens? So the military is facing a crisis in which it can no longer have the instruments needed to keep the people from understanding the truth in Pakistan, which is that this military is a predatory military, and more importantly, it's a military that's keeping in slavery the Baloch, the Pashtuns, the Muhajirs, the Shia, and the minorities are almost finished off in Pakistan. This is a very predatory military, and the more people realize it, the greater the danger and the greater the effort will be of the military to try and ensure that these anti-India rhetoric and this religious rhetoric be thrown at the people to divert them.
Sumit, do you also believe that Imran Khan has fallen out of favor with the military? Do you believe they are also disillusioned with his performance?
Uday, you see, what is a political leader in a Pakistan? He's a damper. After some time, the dampers lose that, what do you call the resistance, and they have to be changed. So if a load increases, the life of the damper is lesser. You see, that is what is the problem with Imran Khan today. You see, they don't have even $1 billion in a bank. Which other country in the Asia is so bad that it doesn't have a $1 billion on foreign exchange? Because when Saudis recalled their money, they went to Chinese to beg for that money. That is the real state of Pakistan. Well, as the generals and this mullah military nexus is minting money. Now, this Imran Khan was a scarecrow. I won't even call him a puppet. He was a scarecrow which they put in the chair, and he was supposed to be the facade who was supposed to deliver for some time. But with the economy really cracking, the Chinese pressure really building, and with the resilient India, who has put China in its own place, there's a lot of pressure within the Pakistan military because you've already lost all the 4 wars you fought with India. Your economy is in shambles. You don't have $1 billion to pay. You're fixing the price of roti and naan. Then your miracle man, Imran Khan, is as good as nothing. So what is this point of time? You have to find somebody else. Again, his life will be, I mark my words today, his life will be limited than Imran Khan. Afridi can be a good option. They're already bringing Afridi or Shahbaz Sharif. And the problem with these political dynasties of Pakistan is look at this Bhutto's character. What is his name? Bhutto's, Benazir Bhutto's son, Bilawal Bhutto. Bilawal Bhutto Zardari. Now, he knows who killed his mother, but he also knows his father has millions of dollars of cases pending with the Pakistan government. Now, look at Maryam Sharif. She knows that the father is out in exile. Last time, Musharraf let him go after the Saudis bailed him out. I don't know with how many millions of dollars they paid to Pakistanis, and Larry got him out of Pakistan. Now, this time he's out of Pakistan. If he comes back, is there Saudis who are going to bail him out? No. Saudis are no longer interested in Pakistan. They said, you get lost from here. You are the biggest liability of the world. Now, Chinese have a limited interest to CPEC and OBR. Beyond that time, Chinese are not also interested. Now, this Pakistan military wants all the authority and no responsibility. So now these scarecrows will change very frequently. Their life will shorten and shorten and shorten. By the time the Pakistan does not, completely break up, or we take the pledge and break Pakistan into 4 parts, because that is ultimately what we have to do. Pakistan is not going to change. Now the problem is why we are not declaring it a failed state. Why world is not declaring it a terrorist? It's a failed terrorist state. That is the fact about Pakistan, Uday. 2 words: failed terrorist state. And in such places, what can the youth have? What can anybody get? Even if they are able to breathe and get the roti in the evening, they should thank God. And their Pakistan army is their biggest enemy. It's not India. It's not that Hindu hatred which they have been fed on. Their biggest enemy is within. Those generals who are filthy rich and made them literally the slaves of their President Nalpat rightly said. Biggest predator in Pakistan is not India, or biggest threat to Pakistan is not India. It is your own Pakistan army led by these Wahhabi generals.
Okay. Let me bring in Pramit Pal Chaudhary at this point, who's also joining the panel. Pramit Pal Chaudhary, your reading of this meeting that has taken place of the opposition with the Pakistan military, the Pakistan army chief, the ISI chief meeting with various opposition leaders. What do you read into it?
Well, as others have mentioned, Imran is effectively just a puppet of the military. His party was created by the army. The majority that he has in parliament was stitched together by Rawalpindi. And the military's primary purpose was to get rid of Nawaz Sharif one more time and push him out, because they were having increasing difficulties in keeping him under control. So I think for the military, he is ultimately completely dispensable. He doesn't actually bring anything to the table. He's their creation. And they probably believe, not incorrectly, that they can bring in somebody else if they need to. But look at it from the military's perspective. Imran's job was to stabilize the political system, stabilize the economy, and run a relatively sensible foreign policy which kept the interests of the military in mind. On none of these fronts has he accomplished anything. The opposition is becoming stronger. He, as others have mentioned, whether it's in Balochistan or in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, now a little bit in Gilgit-Baltistan, he's been facing strong opposition, social movements opposed to the Pakistani government, and he has shown no capacity whatsoever, and despite being a Pashtun himself, in being able to absorb or handle these issues. On the economy, others have mentioned, there's been no forward movement, no real accomplishments of any variety. And on foreign policy, he has been a complete mess. He's got the Saudi Arabians, of all people, to become hostile to Pakistan and to him. This is something Nawaz Sharif, at least, was very good at. He was very close to the Sauds, and he knew how to play them well. Imran has not been able to get much traction with the Chinese, who seem to not pay any attention to him whatsoever. And with the Americans, he's drawn a complete blank, despite having a couple of very nice press conferences with Donald Trump. Nothing has happened after that. The only area Pakistan military would feel relatively pleased about is growing indications that the Americans are going to withdraw from Afghanistan and potentially leave something, a regime or allow a regime that will be closer to Islamabad.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.